Hey, welcome everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my show notes because Google decided to crash for a second there.
No.
Fucking
The
turd.
Google crash.
Yeah, they're bullshit. So everybody, welcome to another Haunted Grove Horrorific Podcast. Today we've got myself and Adam, and we're going to be discussing The Long Night.
Yeah, it was long.
It felt way
was
longer than
long.
it actually was. Like
It's an apt
I was
name.
watering my yard last night and I had to pause to go move the hose, and I saw the time code and it's like, holy fuck. Really? That's it?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts on this were I have to watch it again because I don't know if this was what I really experienced because I had an edible the first time I watched it. And I was like,
I should have.
it was fucking amazing. And then like last night, I was like, okay, I got to watch this before I crash. And I had already taken an edible. So it was a similar experience, but not the same.
That's
so,
funny. Yeah, see, last night I got home and I was debating. It's like, I'm sore. I should take my medicine. Nah, I'll be sober so I can make some good notes. And boy, did I make some notes.
You also probably made a bad choice doing it sober.
Yeah, 100%. If there's one thing I can say about this movie, it's, if it's legal in the area, probably get high.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would really benefit from like a shroom trip, but weed is a really nice...
It would make more sense, yeah.
Yeah, a really nice experience. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a devoted couple's quiet weekend takes a bizarre turn when a nightmarish cult and their maniac leader come to fulfill an apocalyptic prophecy. That's the log line. But that's not
Sounds
really...
great. I'm sold. I'm on board.
Yeah, it's not really what happened. I mean,
not even remotely.
There's so much about this film that I think was edited out because... So before we get into like the director and all that stuff, there's this part at the very, very beginning where they're like, hey, we got to go and spend time with your mom. I want you to meet my parents. It's really important. We need to have this, I want them to meet you because I love you so much. And she's like, you want me to meet your parents? Oh, that's such a big deal. And then the next scene is them coming off of that going, I wish you would have stuck up for me with your parents. And I'm like, wait a second, what? When the fuck did that happen?
Right? That's like that's a first act type of thing. We should have got that.
It lays the groundwork.
Yeah, because it's like, you don't care about that character because he's a fucking asshole. Like, I feel like his name should have been Chet instead of Jack.
100%.
Whatever the fuck it was. Because he's a total Chet.
Yeah.
And if we were to have another layer to that character, we should have had that, and then he would have been at least I'm assuming he probably would have been more sympathetic.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's an asshole, but that's why he's an asshole. And, that's the kind of thing where they could have shown his inner turmoil of, rich mommy and daddy take care of me, so I got to be nice, but they're also beating down my partner. Yeah.
It
should have been
so weird because there's this intimate moment where she's like, well, I've never had any parents, so I missed out on that. He's like, not all family experiences are good. Like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? Did they like touch you? Like, what is it that, did they not buy you the Ferrari you asked when you were 16? Like, what level of difficult?
Decided last night that, he wanted the Maserati, but daddy only got him a Bentley.
Gotcha. Fucking parents, man.
I know. They're fucking terrible.
Damn nerve. Like, how is he going to live?
I'm glad I only had to deal with that shit.
The editing of this film, I can't decide whether they're like on a next level genius or just garbage, like just straight up garbage. Because there are like some real redeeming moments in this. Like, I think the cinematography is brilliant. I think the musical scores, the choices made were amazing, even though it's really, sort of reductive to something like The Shining heavily. But that's a stylistic choice,
That's the hard part, because I did want to like this movie. Like, visually, it was great. The cinematography was great. The costumes were fucking great. Everything about it was great, except the story and the acting.
And even then, like, on the face, if you ignore the log line, the real story is this coven, this cult, lures back the woman that was born to be the host of their cosmic god. Like, that's really what happens. And that's not what we're given. And it's not what's presented narratively. And so when we finally get these weird moments of like the sort of planets aligning and the god is ready to be implanted inside of her by the Coven leader. I mean, this was originally called Coven. By then, we're just like, what the fuck are we watching? You know, instead of it leading with that tone all the way. Because it leads with a woman who's going to find her parents. And it's just a weird, banal setup. And her boyfriend is not believable as her boyfriend. He has a massive head, too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Like, if you put her head next to his, he could swallow her head.
He fucking tried numerous times. He's like, oh, poor baby, you broke a glass and stepped in it. Here, I'm going to fuck you now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I got stabbed 70 times and I'm chained up to a wall. Hey, let's fuck right now. I mean, it's all believable. I get it. But it's not believable for a movie. Like,
I love it when she, like, steps on the glass. And so he walks her around the house to take the glass out of her foot.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
And they never clean it up. Like, what the fuck? You are essentially squatting in someone's fucking house. Yeah. Least you can do is 1, put on some fucking shoes, and 2, clean up after yourselves.
So funny.
God.
So this was written by Robert Shep and Mark Young. I really do think there was something left out. Like, this had to have some shenanigans behind the scenes, or something happened. You know, maybe it was like a Clive Barker original Nightbreed cut thing happening where people just quit or the studio got involved too much, or because the story,
or it could have been like Knights of Badassdom, which was a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, really? I don't know that.
Yeah,
I could see that.
The actual movie, like what was supposed to be there, completely fucking different.
Wow.
Yeah, like if you watch it and with that in mind, that ending, you understand, oh God, that was somebody doing some dumb shenanigans.
Yeah. This was a film I wish I was with you in the room and we could have just like Mystery Science Theatered it.
Yeah, this would have been way better. I mean, it was pretty funny with me and my wife, but I think you and I with a couple of drinks, it would have been hilarious.
I think it would have been amazing. Yeah. And it would have been a redeeming factor for this film, I think.
Yeah.
So this is directed by Rich Ragsdale. The cinematography, I want to mention because I do think it is beautiful, is Pierluigi Malavasi. Sorry.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep, perfect. Music was by Sherry Chung. And this is why I wanted to mention this, because I think the fault lies, and it may not be their fault that they were just directed, but the editor was Jay Gartland. So whoever was directing that editor fucking made this thing weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I do honestly think it has to have been like a studio thing. Like editor and director. Well, the director didn't get an actual director's pass. They were probably like, oh yeah, you get an hour today. And then that's it, versus, you know, a reasonable amount of time.
There's just so many strange choices and like leaps from like a calm normal to like just totally wild and crazy, like silly stuff. And then like the boyfriend is, some of his funniest lines are when he's supposed to be terrified from these cult leaders. And he like runs out. He's like, all right, good job. You scared us. Time for you to leave now. And then they don't move. And so he's like leading the girl in and he's like insulting them all the way inside. And then he comes back outside. He's like, oh yeah, and your masks suck. And then he closes
that shit. That was my favorite part of this entire fucking movie.
So
that
funny.
Was fantastic.
Your masks
like
suck.
that changed my rating on this movie.
It was the only good part about his character, too. It's just him like, I don't know what to do. They clearly must be obsessive about their costumes, so that's what I'm going to hit them with. Yeah. He was like, stupid heads.
Yeah, that shit was great.
I loved it so much. All right, so this is originally released February 4th, 2022. I didn't even know about it until Shudder put it up. And then immediately, I'm like one of those weirdos who sees, you know, in an old VHS store, if it's a great cover, I'm watching it. I don't care if it sucks. I'm going to watch it. And this has a great cover.
Yeah, we're a part of like the Blockbuster generation, so that's how movies sell us.
They lure us in like idiots. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. So the cult worships a god named Uktena, I don't know anything about this. I don't know if it's just made up or if they leaned on some other culture or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, like underneath everything that's presented, there's a great story there. Like a really cool, inventive, you know, it felt like a mix between Rob Zombie and like Polanski, you know, and like not in the good ways. You would
Yeah,
think.
yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with the casting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's Scout,
Yeah,
whatever her
Scout
name is.
Taylor-Compton.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely a Rob Zombie choice.
Yeah. I have to say, I really dig her body though. I wish she was a little more plump, but she looks like in Rob Zombie's stuff in Halloween 1 and 2, she was like anorexic. And I
Mhm.
didn't find her attractive at all. Now she's had some weight. I actually like girls that are thicker. So I think she looks a lot better now than she did then.
Yeah, I can't stand her voice. It's definitely a lot more abrasive now.
Yeah.
But if she keeps her mouth shut, I'm just kidding, people. Just kidding.
Oh man! So the notable cast is Scout Taylor-Compton as Grace, who is the heroine, I guess, of the film. Nolan Gerard Funk as Jack, who's the jackass, who's the chit of the film.
Yeah.
Jeff Fahey as Wayne. I fucked his name up.
Yeah, Fahey.
Fahey. He's the one that should have saved this, and every scene he was in, I thought was good, like great.
Yeah, he was great, but he
It's-
wasn't in it very long.
Yeah. Well, it's also weird because like the setup I thought was that he was the cult leader,
Mhm.
but he clearly wasn't.
Yeah.
But like that was the whole I did love that. Here's the deal. When you're as an actor, you know, we often like lambast the actors for the film that they're in, but they have little or nothing to do with the actual end film
Mhm.
except for what they were given to portray. And so, you know, we unfairly, you know, malign them. He was given a weird role and he knocked it out of the park. And he
Yeah.
was probably one of the best parts of this film. You know, that whole interaction with him coming in, not knowing who the fuck these two kids are. And then there's this weird cult outside and he's just trying to get to the bottom of what the hell's going on. And, you know, not trusting anyone. I thought that was the most believable part of this whole
Yeah.
film. And
Definitely.
I like supernatural horror. So,
Yeah, it's like on face value, like this should have been a fucking home run.
Yeah.
For people like us.
Yeah.
Like that's like my favorite kind of shit is the paranormal, supernatural, cult shit. Like anything that's religious and spooky, I'm all for it. And like the part where they discover the book, I know we're going out of order, but it doesn't matter. Like when they discover the book and Chet somehow knows how to read Latin fluently, like that was the best part when they were explaining the the cult and what they worship and all that shit. Like I love that. I wanted more of that.
Same here.
And then when we did get more of that, I guess, kind of fell flat.
Yeah, I'd never seen a shining vagina before.
Yeah.
That
was
that was a choice.
It's like that's like some shit Madonna would do.
Yeah. It really is, actually.
Yeah.
It might have been lifted right from her tell-all video.
Might.
It clearly was not Scout Taylor-Compton, her body. It was
Well, so
doubled.
that was the part that I was having the issue with, because I'm stupid, but my wife had to explain it to me that she's like, that's not her. You realize that, right? That was the mom. That was Scout's conception. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So she was having a vision about her mom getting plowed by a demon?
See, that's how I interpreted the first watch through. And then the second watch through, I was like, well, no, that's her actually being like imbued with the god, like the monstrosity that they worship, Yuktena. So I don't know. I saw it both ways. And in either way, the fact that it's still unknown is frustrating for a viewer.
Yeah. Well, and that's that was probably one of my bigger issues with this movie is how they broke it down structurally. Like I'm all for chapters. I don't give a fuck. Like that's great. Midsummer, fucking director's cut of Doctor Sleep. Like that shit was great. And it made sense because there is a hard end and then a hard start.
Yeah.
Like it's not just here's this scene and then black screen and then the scene continues. Like, that doesn't make sense. There was no point in putting that cue card up, and they kept doing that, and it's like, why? And it's not even changing the narrative when you put up the cue card. Like, it's still the same bullshit that's happening. It should be different, because that's what the title is supposed to mean. Like, oh, this is what's happening next.
Yeah, actually, now that you mentioned that, I think it is more Ari Aster and Rob Zombie than Polanski and Rob Zombie. Like, that's what they were going for, I think, film cinematically, and it just didn't land at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so Deborah Kara Unger was the master. Doesn't really matter because you don't really get anything from her. At the very end, she says, "I'm your mama." And that's kind of it. And she has some cool markings on her face. That was kind of it.
Well, she has the Force. Like, that's pretty fucking
That's
bitchin'.
pretty dope.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that aspect of it.
It's like, I understand that if she just went full-blown Vader, the movie would be over in 30 minutes. I'd be okay with that. And, it'd be kind of like, oh, well, damn, whatever. But if she's that fucking powerful, why the hell don't they just get everybody out and then explain the story and then go on with the ritual?
Right.
Like, why?
Maybe there had to be like a certain level of fear in her bloodstream to fully be impregnated with the god. I don't know.
But that's the thing. Like, she was fully impregnated at the beginning when she was taking a nap all awkwardly in someone else's house. Like,
yeah, she was.
Here's a snake. All right,
coming.
snake, go in the pooter, and that was it.
Go in the pooter.
Yeah,
that's true. That's very, very true. So then, Jen is 100% right. That was the mom that she was seeing the vision of. Not.
I'm pretty fucking sure, but I don't know. I definitely do want to get high and watch it, see if it's any better.
It's kind of cool, man. Like, I was really watching it last night. Like, I wish I had someone to talk to about this because my wife didn't want to watch it again, but she sat there on her phone.
That's smart.
And I was just like riffing the whole time, having a blast by myself. And my wife is getting more and more frustrated and annoyed with me just lambasting this. And then I went on 20 minutes just on that cutout family scene. And it's like, why it's important, why it would have helped, or if they didn't need it at all, why they could have just cut around it and it wouldn't have made any difference at all to the film. And like just going through tons of stuff. My wife is just like, I hate my life. I want to kill myself. Why am I sitting here?
That's fair. That's fair. That's the real hero of these shows.
I think you're right.
Our partners. Like, they put up with some shit.
They totally do. Yeah, I didn't get laid, so I think maybe it's my fault this time. She's like, no, I just had to sit through fucking 20 minutes of you. I'm not going to let you lay down for 2.
Right? That was way worse.
Oh, man. So actually the location, it's the oldest standing wooden structure in South Carolina. The house was built by British colonialists before the United States of America was even established, which I thought was a nice little note. Don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to buy it. And then Scout Taylor-Compton and Nolan Gerard Funk previously starred together in a movie Triple Dog, which I have never seen and I never want to see. So
yep,
another note.
Agreed. I don't like that guy. Just something about his face.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has, you know how we say, I don't know if we say, but it is said that people have like resting bitch face. Mm-hmm. This guy has resting douche face. Like, he is straight up 100% a douche.
Yeah, he looks like one of the guys that would like throw bottles at my head at school. So I just automatically have a problem with him.
Yeah, he's like a real life version of Quagmire. You know what I mean? Like, that's a massive fucking cranium, and he's just like, oh. I don't know. He's a fucking weirdo. I don't like him. Which it would be no surprise to anyone that IMDb gives it 3.6 out of 10, and it is 36% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes with a 32% audience score. And I did want to talk about it because there are elements.
I honestly think those scores are higher than they should be.
Oh shit, really?
Like, because that's the thing. Like, this movie, I feel like it makes me more mad that it's so beautiful and the set, like the location is just drop dead gorgeous, and the music is so good that it's such a bad movie that it counteracts all that good. Mm-hmm. And it makes me mad.
Thing is, this could easily have been a 10 if they actually just landed the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because even with bad acting, I feel like audiences forgive stuff for a really good story.
Well, and the thing is, even with bad acting, like if you have a good editor and time to edit
Right.
with your director, that can completely fix a role. Like, I can't remember exactly which movie it is, but like I've heard like commentaries and shit of how like, oh yeah, this actor had no fucking clue what they were doing. Their performance, a lot of people are like, oh, this is the greatest performance in the movie. No, that's editing.
Yeah.
That's somebody being able to go, okay, let's find this clip, this clip, this clip, put it together, and hey, look, there's an acting role versus just somebody being a turd.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt like it was a rushed movie, and it was a lot of studio notes, and just fuck it, let's get it out.
Yeah, maybe even on the other side, it was like a passion project for someone that really just was in over their head, and they didn't know how to land it. And so, I mean, in either case, there's something there which is genuinely good, and it couldn't get there for some reason. And like I'm watching it going, I can forgive a lot in a film and just really, really love it. And so I was like thinking about the rating as I was watching it the second time. I was like, okay, you know what? This scene alone, this is a 4. This is a solid 4. And the next scene, I'm like, ooh, shit, no, I can't. It's going to be a 2. I kept going back and forth over different elements of, and it really just comes down to the story as portrayed on screen. Because everything else is so goddamn good that if they just would have been able to fit it together, when we were reviewing the Color Out of Space, that has some really strange visuals, some really weird story beats, but it was edited so well that I just bought into it. And even like Nick Cage was doing some crazy shit in that, like almost like someone making fun of Nick Cage type stuff. But I bought into it because it was just put together so well. This is the opposite of that.
Yeah, it's like I feel like if they would have gone more over the top, it would have made sense.
Yeah.
Like if you had that transitional point where it was like, here's a straight film, here's the shit that's going a little goofy, and then here is full blown like alternate universe type shit. Like it would have made sense.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out where. There's this really strange moment when they first come to South Carolina, and the girl is going into the convenience store, and that real creepy fucking country dude is just checking her out the whole time, making little snide comments. And then they leave, and he goes out, and they start laughing with like the people on the bench. Like that leads you to believe, okay, they're in on the cult. They're going to be in the costumes later. But if that's the quality of person that's in the costumes, that makes it less scary. Because the people in the costumes clearly had supernatural abilities. You wouldn't want to look like that dude if you had supernatural abilities. I wouldn't.
I don't know. That's kind of hiding in plain sight type of thing. Like you wouldn't look at him and be like, oh, that motherfucker can possess me and stick a snake in my ass. Like, be like, oh, that guy's clearly a bumpkin. I'm never going to think about him again.
I don't know. I just can't imagine like that would be the cult member, And then like looking at the people in line, I understand like that's a point, but
I just don't see why they had to do a cabin fever thing.
Yeah.
When this wasn't cabin fever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's stupid.
They're just trying to inject too many different tropes of different types of storytelling and hoping that it would just all come together in the end, and it just doesn't. I really love the scene when that cult leader is like breaking the guy apart, like, crushing his bones and stuff. I thought that alone was gold, but then it can't be a home invasion scene if no one actually ever invades the home.
Right.
They're one of them did at the very end, but
no, there was 3 times that somebody broke in. There was the first time when she gets possessed. Then there was the horn one that gets shot, and then the one that gets the monkey wrench to the face.
Okay.
So it kind of did, but it was all just minute and then no consequence.
I just don't remember seeing fewer people standing in a row. You know what I mean? Throughout the entire film, I just feel like that was all the same group, and they're like, all right, Team B, go, get in there, drag her ass out of here. And then that's the
They're
other
the
part.
ones that are always on the opposite side of the house.
Yeah, I think it would have been better if they like marionetted her. Like they clearly have control over the human body in some way. Like force her to walk out front. That would be much more terrifying. You have no more autonomy of your own body. You know, you're being drawn out, and it forces the boyfriend to try to get in the way and stop them. And I don't know. I just think there's so many different choices they could have made to make this so much better.
Well, it's like when they did do that, it was such a flash in the pan. Like it was just barely there. Like she comes out and, you know, force hand, she gets up, she's floating, and then dude comes out, blasts somebody in the shoulder, and then they run back in. I was like, yeah, that wasn't scary. That was inconvenient at most.
Part of what makes it terrifying is seeing the terror in the person that's being taken control of. You know, having them act like, oh my gosh, no, what was happening? You know, they can't control it. It was like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, you know, when he's like puppeting him off the building. You're just like, he's clearly terrified, and I'm scared for him, you know. But we just didn't get it, and I don't think they get it ultimately. So I don't know. I want to keep talking about it. Like I do really think visually it's such a beautiful film. Like some of those, I mean, they inject the visuals in such weird places that it doesn't really make sense why they're showing it. You know, it's like the first half of the film, they're like literally the first half are 2 talking scenes and the rest is atmosphere. It's all like drone footage over a forest. Yeah. And that's it. And I'm just like sitting here going like, are they ever going to actually have the actors act in this film?
Well, I feel like they came from the same camp as the Finding Neverland documentary people.
Oh, really? I've never seen that.
Don't. It is filth.
Oh, gosh.
If you want to see about 2 hours of drone footage.
Oh, really?
It's good drone footage, but yeah, it's fun. I mean, aside from the fact that all of it is complete and utter bullshit and proven that it's bullshit.
Oh, really?
It's so bad.
Yeah, I'll skip it. I mean, that was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago it came out?
No, it came out during the pandemic, I thought.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way.
I mean, that's why I watched it, because it just barely dropped or some shit. I don't remember.
Yeah. That's our MO. Something drops, we're like, let's watch it. Then let's talk about how bad it was.
Pretty much.
That's kind of what we do.
Well, the whole time, God, my poor wife, man. The whole time we were watching that shit, every time they say something, it's, you know, bust out the phone. No, this is wrong. This is what happened. Just like I was on a crusade to protect Michael Jackson because he needed me to protect him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're the one. You're the chosen. The chosen one. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else to say. I was just...
No, there really... Cause that's the thing with this. There really wasn't too much. Like you said, it's a lot of visuals. It's a lot of atmosphere, but there's not really a lot to it. It's like going to McDonald's for food. It's there. It's gonna make a turd, but there's no substance to it. It's just sort of, oh, okay, well that was something.
Yeah.
And again, it's so disappointing because really it is beautiful. The location was great. The costumes were great. The music I fucking loved. I honestly think if they did put out a soundtrack, I'd probably get it because I really enjoyed it, but it just, there wasn't much to it. And especially the end scene, like that was the biggest crock of shit. Whatever, I'll get into that when we talk about our favorite and you know, worst parts.
Well, let's get into it. What was your, do you have a favorite part?
So favorite part, like I said, it was the music, it was the set, and it was the costumes. I dug, like that could have made for a good movie.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was I don't know. It's got to be the atmosphere. You know, the presented atmosphere. I thought that was so beautiful. I loved the set location. The costumes were, they were just great. And the music, if it didn't have that music, it would have been a train wreck, like a straight up horror, like pathetic attempt at a film.
Yeah, but this would have been Llamageddon. Without a llama.
Llamageddon? I've never even heard of this.
You know me. I fucking love shitty, terrible movies. I couldn't finish that one. Wow. And it was everything that I love about shitty, terrible movies, but I couldn't do it.
I've got to look it up now. I got to see what this thing.
Hey, it's on Prime, so you don't have to pay for it or anything.
All right.
Yeah. Space llama comes down to destroy Earth.
No way.
It's yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, well, what is your least favorite part?
All right, least favorite part was that fucking end scene where the possession fully takes over, and she's having a temper tantrum. That was awful, especially because they sped it up. So it went from being something that could have, potentially looked threatening and menacing. Like, I think if they would have gone the opposite route and had it slowed down, but sort of like flash frame, so it's like speeds up and then slows down for a lot of it, then quick speed up and then slows down. Mm-hmm. Her writhing on the ground, throwing her head around and shit. Like, it would have been cool. Instead, it just looked like she's like, well, I don't want this. I don't want this. And then she kills everybody that's following her for some fucking reason.
Yeah. Like,
I'm sorry. If you just became a deity and there's a cult that's following you and that resurrected you, why the fuck are you going to kill them? Like, those are the people you want to have on the front lines to recruit more people for your ultimate takeover, so you do less work.
They're going to book your flights for you.
Exactly.
Your rooms, get your cars.
Instead, she fucking kills them. And then walks to the end of the driveway.
Yeah. Like, because they were saying the whole thing was this demon was trapped in this one plot of land.
Yeah. Well, and I get care about that. I understand that. I understand the significance of her, crossing the threshold to the end of the property. That was so fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. Like, that was wholly unnecessary.
I take it back. I want to go back to my favorite, because now that I'm thinking about it, that one clip scene before we get to the actual story, where just out of nowhere it shows when she was like raging murdering that dude.
Oh yeah, okay.
It just clips, she's all ah! And then it goes with the scene. I was like, whoa, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That and the murder was awesome. Like, I'll take it back. That was probably my favorite part.
Yeah,
like, just watch, because it went from being awesome to being ridiculous to being awesome again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my least favorite has got to be the editing. I think they did such a bad job. I would never hire that editor for anything again if I was these filmmakers. I mean, because it was horrible.
Yeah.
Just did such a fucking shit job. I don't understand how you can work and put out work like that. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense. And if it's not their fault, well then, okay, I'll eat my words and, maybe someone else did it. But from all intents and purposes, they shit the bed.
Well, and to be honest, it probably was a studio thing. Well, USA doesn't have a great track record of putting out quality stuff. Yeah. So,
sure.
Yeah.
All right. It's a weird name too, anyway.
It's a very weird name.
Anything else you wanted to cover with this thing?
No.
Never again.
No, it's again, it's just so disappointing when you get something like this, because it should have been good, had the potential to be great, and then it just fell flat.
Yeah. I do recommend, if you just find some time, get high and watch it, because it changes it a little bit, makes it more palatable, for sure. I enjoyed it anyway. All right, well, thank you all so much for tuning into Haunted Grove, a horrific podcast. The only way you can find out when the next Haunted Grove episode is creeping up in the dark behind you is to subscribe and click the stupid bell. That's kind of...
it. Do it. It'd be nice.
And helpful tip, if you want to survive... Oh, go ahead. You want to...
Oh, go for it.
Okay, well, if you want to survive between now and our next episode, never hesitate to unload a shotgun in the face of faceless cult members.
Very true.
Something you should always do. And never shoot a shotgun down toward your boyfriend when there's a dude on them, because it's probably going to go through that person.
Yeah, the physics of the shotgun in this movie did not make sense. Like, the motherfucker sniping one of the cult members off the porch. That's not how shotguns work.